Add you to the stage in a moment. Oh, hello everyone. We are live again with Combatants for Peace coming on in a couple of moments. I just want to let you know, if you're just joining us now, this is going to be a conversation between former combatants who have become peace activists in Israel and Palestine. And it's going to be a very powerful conversation. Oh, here's Nee, my co-host. Hey Nee, how are you doing? So Ahmed and Moran are in the waiting room right now from Israel and Palestine, combatants who are now peace activists. And we're going to be starting in a moment. I'm just going to put on our, to allow people a moment to be able to start watching. I'm going to put on our Be Right Back, video. Here we go. Take a moment to enjoy this moment of Zen, watching the beautiful water flow, waves falling, connecting with nature, connecting with ourselves, with the peace within us. And we'll be back in under 3 minutes. Thank you for joining us once again here on day 2 of Meditation Magazine's Peace Summit. This is Kevin Ellerton, the founder of Meditation Magazine, and I'm here with several wonderful people who I'm going to add to the stage right now, but mute their microphones. And we're here with Nini Lee, my co-host for today. She is a Meditation Magazine author and Meditation University teacher, and a big proponent of peace in the world. We also have Ahmed Helou and Moran. Moran, I forgot your last name. I'm sorry. What's your last name, Moran?
Zamir.
Zamir?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Moran Zamir. These two wonderful gentlemen are part of an organization called Combatants for Peace. It is an organization that works with the hand in hand with the Parent Circle, who we actually spoke with yesterday. And for those who were here yesterday, you may remember we spoke with an Israeli parent and a Palestinian parent who had lost children in the war, talking about peace and reconciliation. And today we have a conversation between two men who had previously been involved in the conflict in whatever capacities that they had, been involved in some forms of violence and have now decided that they do not want to participate in that anymore. Rather, they want to participate in the peace process by building peace through nonviolence and bringing people together rather than keeping people apart and fighting each other. So, this is a very important conversation. I think anybody who wants peace in this world, who wants to see peace in the Middle East, we need to have these types of conversations. We need to see these types of conversations, hear these types of conversations between people that are supposedly enemies, finding their common humanity and the common desire and need for peace. So if you're watching this right now, I would ask you, one, please post comments. First of all, let me know that you're seeing this. Post a comment in either Facebook or YouTube that you're able to see the stream and that the audio is coming through okay. That helps us to know that everything's working correctly. Also, please feel free to post questions for Ahmed or Moran or for both in the comments. And we would love to be able to ask your questions as well. And thirdly, if you're watching this, please click the share button. Oh, thank you, Megan, for letting us know that you can hear. Click the share button to share this this conversation, this live stream on your profile or wherever if you have a page or anything like that, so that more people will be brought into these beautiful conversations and can ask questions as well. Okay, so I'd like to start out the conversation just by asking Ahmed and Moran, both of you. I'll start with Ahmed since you're at the top of my screen here. Can you tell us a little bit about your story? What part of the conflict and combat and violence were you involved in? What was your experience like? And how did you come to being part of this organization, Combatants for Peace?
You wanna start with me, I guess.
Yes.
Uh, okay.
Is that okay?
First of all, yeah, there
Okay.
is no problem for sure. But before to start, I don't know if your audience know about combatants for peace or not as well. And if it's okay to start with uh, like how can I say it? Tell about combatants, who are we, and how the combatants came. So we are Palestinian and Israelis using violence before. We start in 2006. Our organization, we were like a Palestinian prisoners. Israeli soldiers refused to continue them path by violence. And we start all together to prove that the non-violence struggle is the only direction to reach to our goal, to end the occupation and to build a good future and build a good relationship between the Palestinians and Israelis, to solve our bloods, our time, our lovers. And during that, we make a lot of activities active, such as let me say it, a lecture like that, a meeting to share our personal stories with the people. And also in combatants, we have theater group, we have women group, we have youth group, we have uh, cities groups like twins between the Palestinian group and the Palestinian cities and Israeli cities. They met and work together. Yeah, this is in general, and also in combatants for peace. We work as equal. Palestinian and Israelis altogether. We feel that and we prove that. Uh, like we have two coordinator, we have and this and the both coordinators they working all together in the same topic, in the same equal. Yeah, sorry, my language is not so good or good enough to explain that. Maybe Moran, his English is better than me, and maybe he like to add something. And after that, I will start my personal story.
Oh, thank you, and yeah, I think that's a good idea. Moran, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Combatants for Peace. But Ahmed, in the meantime, is there a TV or a radio or something in the background? There's a little bit of noise on your end, if possible. If you could,
Yeah, you are
see
okay. Let me
if you can
just talk
reduce
to
that.
my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you,
Yeah, put me in
Moran. Do you want to
mute.
tell us?
Put me in mute.
In the meantime, Moran, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Combatants for Peace?
I think Ahmed did very well. What can I add? I mean, as Ahmed said, we're a group of people. The founder was in 2006 during the Intifada, the second Intifada, but since then many people joined. Like me and Ahmed, we wasn't part of the founder group, but joined the movement. Today, I just can say, I think today it's the biggest binational movement in the region.
Wow.
It's one of the only, so it's not, but we struggle to keep it. It's not easy. We go through a lot of harsh time doing, especially now I think now it's maybe the most difficult time that we experience, but I think we struggle, and we're able to keep this relationship, this of working together, and in my opinion, this maybe the biggest like achievement at the moment, that just be able to keep this togetherness. And I think the rest Ahmed is like already explained, so there is no reason.
We can
Yeah.
we can mention Moran about the biggest event which we do it in
That's true.
the competence for peace. We make the alternative Memorial Day each year, and it will be in the 12th of May. Yeah, and also the ceremony or the Nakba, the catastrophe, or a Nakba, which happened in 48 for the Palestinians, which will be in the 15th of May. This event, or let me focus in the alternative Memorial Day. It is the biggest peace event. It's happened each year. Last year, there were more than 15,000 people attended it in Tel Aviv, and more than 300,000 watch it online. And in this time, because it is really very sensitive time, we will make it also online, and recording and filming it. But we guess that more than 300,000 people will watch it too.
That's great. I
And
just posted the
yeah,
link. I just posted the link in the comments for the alternative Memorial Day for it's the
mhm.
instead of just so in Israel there's a Memorial Day for the Israeli soldiers who have been killed in the conflict, and this Memorial Day is for everyone, for including Israelis, Palestinians, and everyone. and I think it's an important thing to bring to the
Yeah,
world.
it's alternative Memorial Day because the Israel themselves they make Memorial Day to the Israel to the soldiers themselves who killed, but we make the alternative one. That's mean Palestinians was killed and the Israeli was killed during this conflict because we believe that both of us victims we are victims to the occupation. We are victims to the regime, to the system in Israel and Palestine. And our lover, which we lost it, they are really victims for this situation. Uh, so let me start with my stories. As I said, I'm Ahmed Al Hilu. I live in Jericho. I'm 52 years old. I have 4 children. My roots coming from Gaza, and till now I have sisters in Gaza. My cousin, my wife, she's born and grew up in Gaza, and her parents till now living in Gaza in this war and suffering as people. My sisters, they became grandmothers in Gaza. Uh, my my family, considering one of the biggest family in Gaza too. But my grandparents was born and they grow up in Gaza. He go to live in Beersheba before the 48, or let me say it in the beginning of in the early of century 20. In Beersheba, my parents born and grow up too. In 48, my parents, my grandparents escaped from Beersheba to Jericho, and from Jericho in 67 to Jordan, and from Jordan they come back to Jericho. I born and I grew up in Jericho, and I grew up with my grandparents' story, my parents' story too, about the Nakba Day, how they ran away from Beersheba to Jericho, how many bodies and people killed from of them, and from also from my parents when they escaped to Jordan and they come back by them foot, and also how people killed from of them, how bodies they busted. All this story make me angry and hit against the Jewish themselves because my grandparents and my father, when he told me the story, he said the Jewish make that, the Jewish occupied, the Jewish killed, the Jewish make blah blah blah. So the hit grow in my heart and my mind against the Jewish themselves. Because of that, I start to, or I said, I must revenge, and I must be like a strong fighter to revenge to my people. And when the first Intifada started in 1987, I was 15 years old, and I start to participate with the young, the youth, and because of that, also I participate with Hamas. I was a little bit religious guy. I involved with Hamas and became Hamas member. Start with the Hamas group to throw stones against the Israeli military guards, to make Palestinian flags, to make graphics, asking people to join Intifada, to make strikes against the occupation, till the Israeli army come to my home and arrest me. I stayed 7 months in the Israeli jail. In a jail, I got a chance to meet many people, many different people with different visions, with different thoughts, not just Hamas, and talk with them. That's make my mind little bit clear about the future and understanding the situation as well. And in the same time, Oslo Agreement start, and my parents came to visit me. And I asked them about the situation. My father he told me about the agreements, and he added that the Palestinian flag became legal and Jericho full of Palestinian flags, and the people they raising the flags everywhere. Uh, that make me surprised and crying. Yes, because before this agreement, the Palestinian flags were illegal, and if the Israeli army catch any Palestinian with the flag, they will put him in the jail 6 or 7 months. I don't know. Now it is legal by talking, by negotiation, by peace agreements, and this is also make me thinking about the other way. That's mean we use the violence, we don't succeed, but in the negotiation and peace agreement, we succeed to make Palestinian flag legal, and we start talking about the Palestinian state. All this, and what's happened, I take it and put it somewhere in my mind, and I go forward in my life. When I go out from the jail, I start working with a group, young group, to help my society to working with the women, to helping the old people, the old men, to help the handicapped people, children, schools, in hospital as a voluntary work. And during that, also take a lot of courses. One of them was first aid. Because of that, I became ambulance service in 1996. In September 1996, Netanyahu was the prime minister of Israel. He decided to open tunnel under Aqsa, under Al-Aqsa, the tunnel under Al-Aqsa, yeah. And the Palestinians became angry because of this decision and go to the street again to protest against this decision. Many violence happened in Jericho. There was a settlement inside Jericho called Delisha. The Palestinians start throw stones against it. As ambulance service, I take my uniform, the ambulance car. I went to this demonstration to see what can I help. Near the settlement, yeah, I see a guy fell down. I ran to him to check. I found he's a friend of mine. His name Firas Awajni, 21 years old. He got a shot. I carry him by my hands to take him to the ambulance. In that case, after like few steps, I fell down. I asked myself direct why I fell down. I'm strong enough to carry him and to run a few kilometers, not just a few steps. The people closer than us, they start shouting, injured, injured, and they carry me too. And that time I start like feeling a numb in my back. And they put me in ambulance. I woke up in Ramallah hospital, not in Jericho hospital. In Ramallah hospital after 3 days. So that means I entered to a coma 3 days, and I woke up in Ramallah hospital. Asking about my friend, no one answered me because that's what's happened in Jericho. Yeah, and they don't know my friend. After 1 week, my family succeed to come to Ramallah to visit me, because in that time the cities were closure. The Israeli army closed the cities and they put checkpoints everywhere. They don't allow to anyone to go out or to go in these cities. But my family succeed to escape from Jericho through the mountains, through the valleys. At last, they arrived to Ramallah. They reached to me. They come to visit me in hospital. And I asked them about my friend Firas. They told me he passed away. I spent 30 days in Ramallah in hospital. Yeah. And when I go out, I went to visit his graves. And also my friends who's killed in that time. So there were 3 friends. Firas Awajni, 21 years old. He killed. They died. Fadi Atiyah, 17 years old. And Ziyad Sharif, he is a Palestinian policeman. These 3 guys killed in the same time, in the same place where the Israelis shot me. It's hurt me a lot. And I take a time to just wake up and to continue my life. After 1 year, I go back to my university. After 1 year, I start like woke up and became like, let me say it, make a conscience to know what's happened, to have more conscience. And yeah, I finished my university. After that, in 2004, my friend, she came to me and asked me to participate with Israelis, to participate in a workshop with Israelis. Yeah, and she said to me, she told me, there is a workshop in Givat Habiba kibbutz and with Israelis, and if I like to go to participate. Really, I I feel tough, very hard, angry from her to how she asked me to go to participate with the Israelis. But in the last, she succeeded to convince me and take me to this workshop. This workshop make a big shift in my mind to me because I met people, the civilian Israelis, they agree with the Palestinian rights. I met the leftists, and most of them, all of them, they against the occupation. They support the Palestinian rights. They support two state. Why they make this big shift in my mind? Because before I don't met any Israeli agree in my right. Most of the Israelis, there were settlers or soldiers, and they completely against the Palestinian rights. But these people, they completely different. So I became more interesting to know more about these people, and I start with myself to looking for many workshops to participate with them. It take a time from me. I met the combatants founder in 2006 in Jericho. We talk a lot together, and I participate in one event with them. After that, I decide to work alone because I don't have enough knowledge and I don't have enough feel that or believe in this way, let me say. But during my research, during my work, during my like attended the workshops, yeah, I became believer, yeah, step by step, and believer more stronger in that till I got a chance to have a speech in the Memorial Day in 2012. Before this memorial, to prepare my speech, I spent 4 days in Tel Aviv with Israelis and Palestinians just to write my speech. These 4 days give me a chance also to meet Israelis more and to know the Israelis from them home, let me say, and talk a lot about with them as a friends. And when I finished my speech in the Memorial Day, I got a lot of like empathy and support from Israelis themselves too. Israelis, they don't know me, but they hear my personal story, hear my speech. Because of that, I decided to continue with combatants and to work with them till now. In my work, during my work or my active with my, my activity with combatants, I face a lot of like stations, let me say it. But I succeed to bust it in a good way. And I hope to continue to prove that we can live in this land or we can live together in peacefully, equals, and safety. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for telling your story, Ahmed. That's a very powerful recounting of your personal experience, and I'm sorry for your loss of your friends and everything that you've had to go through. I see there are people that are commenting, that also saying sorry for your loss, and how inspired they are by you and by both of you for choosing this path of peace and nonviolence, even in the midst of such a difficult conflict. So I want to go to Moran for now. That was a beautiful story and so well told that it was so engaging and enthralling. But I think we only have about 20 or 30 minutes left. So I want to try to ask Moran to tell his story, but in maybe less time, if possible. And also, if you guys have a little bit longer, we can stay for longer. Just let me know what your timeline looks like.
Oh, it's okay, I can do it shortly. So first of all, I'm 36. I live in Haifa. It's a city in the north of Israel. I'm father of two wonderful children. I grew up in a family in a kibbutz in the south. Very much rooted family in the Zionist narrative, I can say. The narrative that I grew up upon, it's basically say we came here in order to live in peace with the Palestinian, but for some reason they don't want to live in peace with us, and therefore there is violence, and therefore there is no other way. We have to protect ourselves, and each especially every man have to take his part and do his duty and join the army when the time comes. But it's not because of us. We want peace. It's just something with the Palestinians. It's maybe their culture, their religions. I don't know what, but they don't want to live in peace. That's basically what was the narrative. My family came from Europe, different parts in Europe. My grandfather came as a Holocaust survivor from Hungary, from Budapest. But they all came with a very strong ideology that we came to our land, to our place as a Jewish people. I think when I was young child, like 6 years old, the Oslo Agreement, the peace agreement was signed up, and it was a very optimistic time in history. And my early childhood was colored by this optimism that's the end of the conflict. And it's all completely blew up at the year of 2000, where what in Arabic called the second intifada, the resistance, the second one, started at October 2000. What we as a young teenager, I was 13, experienced as a crazy wave of violence coming from nowhere. And suddenly this dream of peace blew up to pieces, and it was there was a lot of fear. There is a lot of like terror attack all over the country. Also very next to where I live, people were killed. It was become scary to drive on the road because you might get shot. And I think what happened to me, like mentally, and I think, in my opinion, for many people in my generation, Israeli and Palestinian, those fear transformed to hate, and very easily. And we started to hate as a young teenager, really singing very racist song, I remember, about like Arab Palestinians, but it comes out of fear. It's not something that we grew up upon. It's a way to deal with those fear. To describe those people who want to kill us as a monster is not human even. And I think another reaction was a very lack of trust, I can say. It's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to start trusting Palestinian. Even after I became activist, it took me a lot of years. With this attitude, I joined the army, the IDF, when I was 19. Serve in the combat unit, especially at Gaza. And I think my time in army is open up a lot of doubt in the narrative. I started to asking questions. Those narratives that we just defending ourselves, and they, like the Palestinians, are the reason to the violence. It doesn't fit to the reality experience as a soldier, to what I saw in Gaza. That we enter with very heavy arm to a Palestinian village, a Palestinian town, and arrest all the men, and in order to find one guy from Hamas and arrest him. But because we don't know who he is exactly, so we arrest everyone, for example. We just demolished houses because they are on the way. And we have to, if we not demolish them, maybe someone will hide and shoot at us. So we just demolished the whole neighborhood. And I started asking myself, maybe does it worth it? Like maybe we arrest this person that is involved in like violence against Israeli, but on the way we make such a huge trauma to those people, especially the children in those communities. And I was very much sure that if I was instead of them, I would start hating me, like the Israeli, and wanted to take revenge. It was very clear for me that that's the reaction of what we're doing. So I think, to make it short, after I end my compulsory service with a lot of doubt, very confused. For many years, I was kind of hiding those doubt. I escaped, like many young Israeli. I was long time in India, doing a lot of meditation, but not really face those questions. That was, but it. In some point, it just was become clear for me that even in order to keep myself, my soul, I have to face this question. I can't escape anymore. But I didn't know how to do it. And then by luck, by chance, I find myself in this event of the Memorial Day, the Bi-National Memorial Day 2013. I didn't know what it is exactly. I just somehow friend invite me and I went there. It was so powerful I saw two brave fathers that lost their daughters in the conflict. One named Bassam Amin, Palestinian, lost his daughter Abir. She was 11 years old, shot by Israeli sniper at the entrance of the school. Second was Ben Kfir, his daughter Yael was, I think, 18, died when Palestinian bombs himself in a bus station. And they both say the same. We don't care anymore who started this violence, whose fault it is. We just want it to stop, like khalas in Arabic. And that was very much like moving and powerful for me. And I was just asking, who is organizing this event? And there is organization. It's called Combatants for Peace. I'm saying, okay, sign me up. I want to be part of it. And since then, it's now 11 years, and I'm involved in different. I was very especially involved in the educational work of the movement. We're doing a lot of educational project, and yeah, that's it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Moran, for sharing your story. And it's just so powerful to hear the different ways that people grow up in the area and how people become involved in the conflict. One of the things that you were mentioning is when you were growing up, and you were growing up in a Zionist household, in Israel, and that the belief, the narrative was that we just want to live in peace, and the Palestinians, for some reason, just want violence and they want to kill us. And whether it's culture or religion, that was the idea, right? That's the narrative. And let me tell you, I as a Jewish person living in the United States, uh, this is the narrative. I grew up with the same narrative, going to Jewish schools here. I was in yeshiva in New York. That was the narrative that we were told. The Israelis just trying to live in peace, the Palestinians just attacking, killing people. And what I was taught in school was that it was because of the jihad ideology that we must there's an idea that jihadists and believe that they need to take the land for Islam, and it's part of the religion. That was what I was taught when I was a kid. And I'll tell you, I know many people here in New York, Jewish people, that believe that, and I know many people in Israel that believe that. But every time I talk to Palestinian people, that's not at all what they're talking about. They're talking about being oppressed, um, being growing up in terrible conditions, and I think that for Israelis to be able to realize that peace is possible, they have to be able to understand that maybe what they grew up believing is not true. I think there's the same I think a similar dynamic on the other side of the fence, in the Palestinian territories. I think that many Palestinians believe that Israelis are just doing all of this, all of the occupation and the oppression, because they want to take all the land, and they just want to be the rulers of everything. They want to oppress people, and that's coming from some kind of an idea that they're better or something like that. But I think, if from what I know of people in Israel, they are doing these things out of a feeling of fear, a feeling of need of security, right? So I just want to ask both of you, I guess. I think it's important to clarify and understand what do you think is driving the violence from both sides, the occupation, the oppression from the Israeli side, and the violent types of terrorism from the Palestinian side. What do you think is driving it? Do you think it is religion and an ideology, or do you think it is more a feeling of being a victim and a feeling of need to lash out as a victim to try to change the situation? We'll start with Moran, and then we'll go to Ahmed if we can for that question.
Well, I believe, idea, they exist always. Any kind of idea. It could be a religious idea or just philosophical idea. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, what are the conditions that allowed specific idea to rise, to grow? And I think the idea that you just mentioned, that I can say, call it jihad, it's say just Muslim. It's not just Muslim. There is Jewish jihad, very strong, that basically say it's like everything or nothing. It's like we can sacrifice our life in order to get this biggest goal of I don't know what. Like it could be a religious goal or national goal, but I think this kind of idea, the soil that they allow them to grow, it's the soil of oppression, it's a soil of fear, it's a soil of anxiety. As I mentioned about myself as a young teenager, those ideas grew up in me. because of I experienced such a fear. And so I think it's we always need to ask those questions. It's not enough to say, okay, there is idea that people educate upon. I think it's because people are experienced, like exposed to a lot of different ideas, and it's the question is what make them choose to go with this, the most radical, the most extremist. I think we need to ask what is the condition that they live in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very powerful answer. Thank you, Moran. And I know that you're a psychotherapist. I can see the psychotherapy background there, just understanding the deep roots of people's minds and behaviors. Yeah, thank you for that. Ahmed, do you want to try to answer the same kind of question?
Yeah, I'm agree with Moran for sure, and I wanna add something also. Okay, the needs and the fear also, and the exist. Both all this, the ideas come through them. Also, as a Palestinian, let me say, uh, they scare a lot from the Zionist itself. I'm not talking about the Israeli Zionist, by the way, because that we believe as a Palestinian there is Arab Zionist, there is Muslim Zionist, there is Christian Zionist, but the idea of the Zionist and how it start to come to the land without people, to the people without land. But as a Palestinians, we were in Palestine. We exist. We born. We grow up in Palestine. Yeah, this is the scare or the strategy how the Israeli, how the Jewish came, how the Jewish use the strategy to create it, them state. As Ahmed, I understand when they when the Holocaust start and the Israeli, the Jewish run away, they need to feel safety and to feel secure, and they came to Palestine. But because they came in a violence strategy in Palestine, the Palestinians became scared from them and refused them. Because before the Holocaust, there were a Jewish in Palestine, and they were living as a Palestinian Jewish, a Palestinian Arabs, yeah, a Jewish Arabs, a Palestinian Arabs. But the wrong strategy, which they use it, the violence rise up and they come up. So the Palestinians want to feel that they are like hearing and seeing and exist. In the same time, the Israeli, they want to feel that they are hearing, seeing, and exist. I go back to also to the strategy, how we use the strategy to prove that this is the main idea to make a peace, make a good relationship, or violence. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those powerful answers, both of you. I want to just ask you, I have a couple more questions. Do you guys have like 10, 15 more minutes, or do you have to stop in like 5, 10 minutes?
For me, it's okay.
For you, it's okay? What about you,
Me, it's
Ahmed?
okay. Me, it's
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Okay. So, I spoke with Ali Abu Awad. I don't know if you know him. He was Ahmed. Your story reminded me of him. He went to jail during the Intifada, and he found that in prison he learned so much from the other people that were there, and he found his philosophy of nonviolence through similar means, through realizing that nonviolent methods actually made a difference and made things better, whereas violent methods were making things worse. So I spoke with him, and I know he's the founder of this organization called Tagir, which means change in Arabic. That is basically a nonviolent movement for Palestinians. And I want to ask Ahmed, before I ask about nonviolence in general. Ahmed, is this movement something that is popular among Palestinians? The nonviolence, is it an idea that is gaining any traction, or is this something that is very marginalized in Palestinian society?
Do you ask me about the Taghyir organization or in general in non-violence activities?
Both, both. Whether these are growing movements, or whether it's something that
Mm.
most Palestinians just see as oh, that's not going to work.
Let me start about Ali Abawad. Ali Abawad, I appreciate him. He's a friend of mine. But actually, I stopped the relationship with him because he started working with a settlers, with a settlement, with the settlers, yeah, and make active with the settler. On our side, in our organization, completely against the settler because of that. But before, he's a very, very, very gentle guy. He's very smart guy, and he's non-violence guy. About the non-violence activists in Palestine, and how the Palestinians dealing with it. To be honest, for sure, part of Palestinians they believe, part of Palestinians they don't believe. Some of Palestinians against us, some of Palestinians they don't like. They stopped in the middle. We cannot say it like a percentage how much Palestinians in this side or in this side. Actually, in my in my in my home, let me say, I live in complicated life, in mixed, because my family in Gaza right now, and they suffering. By the way, I lost in this war more than 60 relatives in Gaza, more than 60 cousins. My sister right now in Gaza, she's suffering with her grandchildren. And also, if you allow to me to say that and to mention that through your magazine, and that will be a great help to me. I'm trying to take her out of Gaza, and I mention GoFundMe website to her. Uh,
What's the GoFundMe link? Do
so,
you have it? I can post it in the comments.
yeah, I have it, and I will try to send it when Moran start talk. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
So because of
I will try
as
to
I
do it
said,
meanwhile. I also had the link here.
please, Moran. So as I said, I have a complicated life because I host Israelis, I met Israelis, and in the same time, my family in Gaza suffering from them children, them daughters, them sons, and I face little bit like problem with my family. So not all and we don't have like the good atmosphere in our country to talk about the non-violence to in this time, especially in this time. But with that, as a combatants for peace and as a peace actives, we don't care. We continue talk a lot about our active and about our relationship with the Israelis to prove to the people that we can make something for our future and to save our souls, our bodies, our life. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Moran, what about you? Have you seen a significant nonviolence movement on the Israeli side?
You know, I think it depends how you describe non-violence movement. Because first of all, maybe I can say about Palestinian society. And Ahmed, I think you will agree with me. But if you think about non-violence also as a sumud, as a people who just stay, as a Palestinian family that they keep their relation to where they live. They take care of the olive tree. It's also non-violence resistance, in my opinion. So it's, if you look at it like that, it's very popular. It's the most popular. It's like Palestinian mother is still making the traditional food that they're that based on the herbs of the land to keep this. It's a way of resistance. I guess you will agree with me, Ahmed. So yeah, I think in Israel, no, I guess it's not so strong at the moment. Like, there is a strong movements against the government, but it's not necessarily linked to stopping the war. It's maybe in some scale. There is a very big non-violence movements against the government, against the right-wing government, but I think there is few who really stand and call to end the war. It's getting bigger and bigger, but not enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems like people in both sides, and your point, Moran, about the Palestinians just tending to their land as a form of nonviolent resistance is a beautiful point. I'd never thought about it that way. But there are also many of the people that also are peaceful in their own lives might support the violent methodologies, just like Israelis citizens who may be peaceful in their own lives would support the military response and the war in Gaza, right? So my question kind of is trying to understand how popular is the idea that, hey, we should stop all violence from our side? How popular is that idea? Moran, you're basically saying it's not a very popular idea in Israel right now. Ahmed, just to clarify that question, is there a large portion of the Palestinian population that is agreeable to this idea that we should just stop all violence, or is it do people still really support the Hamas actions like October 7th or terrorism or things like that?
By the way, I send the link to you of the
Thank you. Oh, to me you sent it, so we can post it in the comments.
Yeah. I can.
I sent it to the comments, but it's not clear yet. I think need prove it or.
Okay, well, we'll get it into the comments at least after the video. Maybe after the live, we'll put it in there if we have trouble. And it will be available for everybody who sees the video later, which is a large part of the people that are viewing it. So Ahmed, just to clarify the question simply, do you feel like most Palestinians support like Hamas actions of terrorism and things like that, or do you feel like there are many people? Do you feel like there's a large portion of the population that would be happy with nonviolent solutions if they believed that it would work?
Yeah. Let me start in that and give you some information. In the last what's called it election in the Palestine, it's happened in 2006. Yeah. Hamas lose in Gaza and win in West Bank. Hamas lose in Gaza and win in West Bank. Because of that, not all people in Gaza they support Hamas. Not all the people in West Bank they also support Hamas. But in general, to be honest, in this situation, in this time, and I understand them as well, the reaction for the Israeli active and genocide and war crime in Gaza, many Palestinians they start against or don't believe in the non-violence. It's very hard to say that because it's not easy. In that time, they killed the Palestinians. They make masquerades, masquerades in
Massacres.
Gaza, masquerades, yeah, genocide, and in the same time, we said we need to protest in non-violence. I'm agree in non-violence for sure. I believe in non-violence. I am a non-violence guy, but also I understand my people. I can tell you, we lose. We lose. The peace activists people, the leftists, Palestinian, let me say it, we lose a lot right now because of the war. If the war start, if the war continue, that means maybe we will lose everything. It's very, very hard to say that, but this is the الحقيقة. What is الحقيقة يا مران? This is the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. I want to. So I know you said you believe in nonviolence, and as a philosophy, I guess. But there's a feeling that maybe even though it's the right thing to do, there's this, it's hard to believe that it can work, that it can actually resolve the conflict. I personally, from the conversations I've had, I believe it's the only way to actually resolve the conflict. But I want to ask the two of you: do you on the ground there, do you believe that nonviolence can actually work to resolve this conflict? And do you think it's going to be that it will work better than the violent means that are being used right now? We'll start with Ahmed and go to Moran.
As Ahmed personal, I believe we can succeed because now there is two parts to the war. One, it's happened in Israel and Gaza, and one in Egypt or in Qatar, the negotiations. And for sure, and I believe that with fighting in Egypt or in Qatar, they will win. And I hope that. So the non-violence active, the negotiation, the peace agreement, in the last, they will win. In the war in Gaza, no one winner. No one. All of them will lose. We lose a lot. We lose friends. We lose lovers. The humanity is losing right now in Gaza in this war. But what happens in the other part? Yeah, they are the proof, the brave hearts, let me say it. And in the last, I pray to succeed that the negotiation and the peace agreement, the agreements in Egypt or in Qatar will succeed to prove that nothing can happen through the violence or through the war, just through the talking. And really, most of the Palestinians, they follow the news which come from Egypt and Qatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, and Moran, I would put the same question to you. Do you believe that this can be resolved through nonviolent means better than the violent means that are being used right now? And just remember, we also have to go in a couple of minutes.
I'm not coming to this question from scientific thinking, like what is the best methods to get the best results. It's more coming to this question from more, I can say, religious point of view. I believe it's the right thing to do in violence. I don't know if it's the most practical thing. Maybe yes, maybe not, maybe. Probably violence could achieve more in the short terms. That's what happened all through the history. That's why people choose violence, because it's an easy way to get what they need. But it doesn't matter for me. That's I believe because thinking about my children, I'm thinking about their future. I want them to live in an atmosphere that seeing non-violence as the best way to get what you need, even if it's not the faster way or the most practical way, but the most not the best way, the right way to get what you need. So I know there is this romantic idea, Ali Abawad and many other, that's the best way also practically. I don't know, really, honestly. But it's like in the step that I am today, I can't go back to violence personally, and Ahmed as well, and so many people. If you go through this step, it's like getting out from Plateau Cave. You can't go back. You can't. It's like the violence is not an option anymore for me, and for Ahmed and for many others. And we know, we're very much aware, as Ahmed said, that most of the people around us, they're not go through the same process as we, not yet. Hopefully they will, and we are aware of that, and we're still doing what we're doing in on this condition.
Yeah. Thank you, Moran. I personally, I just want to express that I've been having these conversations. I've had a bunch of these types of conversations with Israelis and Palestinians, and my personal, I was not convinced that nonviolence would work. I wasn't sure that military means weren't needed, but I think in I think maybe it's possible in some situations. For example, with the Nazis in World War II, that military was needed and nonviolence wouldn't work. But I believe that if the two I think the two sides, honestly, the Israelis and the Palestinians both, except aside from extreme elements on both sides, I think most of the people really do want to live in peace, and that if everybody would agree on nonviolence, if everybody would agree to do that, then it would resolve the conflict better than anything that is currently being done. The 75 years of fighting and war has not resolved it, and it seems just to be making it worse. So I think that the only way is nonviolence. That's my personal opinion. But I want to. We have to wrap up in a minute. I just want to ask you one last thing before we go, because there's currently these big protests on university campuses in the United States, and these protests are about the occupation. The protests are also about the freeing Palestine. Some are more aggressive than others. Some are more peaceful than others. But my question is really about how we approach these activism in the West, and around the world. How can we approach activism in a positive way that will lead toward peace? Is it helpful for people to take, like, what I see here in the United States is people are taking one side or the other and then just standing for that side only? In my neighborhood here, there are signs all over the place. I stand with Israel. That's all I see on the lawn signs. I stand with Israel. I stand with Israel. In other places, there's graffiti or things like that just say "Free Palestine" everywhere. And I've been traveling around the world. I see these different places, different people are just taking one side and supporting that side against the other. Do you think that this type of activism is helpful, or do you think that there is a better way to approach this? And I'll put that question to Ahmed first, and then to Moran. This will be the last question for today.
Let me start with the Israeli protest against Netanyahu itself first. It is very, very, for the Palestinians, it's very important and it is very hopeful too. And they follow the peace protest in Tel Aviv in Israel a lot against Netanyahu and against the Israeli government. And for sure, it is a basically non-violence protest. And also what happened in USA, in Columbia University and the other university, that give the Palestinian a lot of hope to end the war and to reach the ceasefire. Yeah. So it is very hopefully. And I want to add who the person be like peer Palestine or support the Palestinians, not meaning that he's against the Jewish or against the Israeli. No. Who's this person against the war, against the genocide, against the war crime. So what's happened in American University as a Palestinian, and as how I saw the Palestinian react with that, they are really very helpful, very the Palestinians themselves thankful also to them a lot, and they appreciate that so much, because with that we can, in non-violence protest, with that we can like push the American government to push against the Israel government to tell it to stop the war and to make the ceasefire, and inshallah they will succeed.
Thank you, Ahmed. And Moran, I would ask you the same question. Do you think that the way that the protests are playing out here in the United States, is this a positive thing? Are they doing it in a good way? You can see it's really like some people coming for Palestine, some people coming for Israel, and sort of clashing together. Do you think there's a better way to do it, or do you think that they're doing it in a good way? What do you think about it?
First of all, it's a bit hard for me as an outsider. I'm not there only exposed to the media. I live a narrative about what's going on in the university. Obviously, the Israeli mainstream narrative describe it as a anti-Semitic like demonstration. I don't think that's what it is, not at all. But so it's a bit difficult for me. But I guess it's good that people are aware and people are in especially in America, that they have such a strong influence about what's going on in the Middle East. I think we live in a culture now that it's very one-sided. Like the woke culture, it's very pick a side, and it's problematic. I think also it's like in many different aspects, and so I guess I hope it will develop to something that can hold more complicated message, maybe. But maybe now it's not the time for that because we're in a war now. We need the war to stop, and when the time of war, you just need to say one thing: stop. Like, not complicated message, just stop it, and then we can talk about the rest. But so I'm also modest a little like about it, and I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. When I interviewed Ali Abu Awad, I know that Ahmed, you don't necessarily agree with what he's doing because he's working with the settlers to try to find some nonviolent solutions there. But one of the things that he said about the protests here in the United States is really resonated with me, which is that if instead of taking one side or the other, like Moran was saying, like one-sidedness, if instead of taking one side or the other, the way Ali put it is, just imagine 1 million Jews and Muslims joining hands, marching in the streets to protest, to be pro-solution rather than being pro one side or the other, to demand a solution to the problem. That could work. That could help in a powerful way. And Ali's interview is going to screen tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. It's on the same pages, so you can see Ali and Einat Gerlitz, who's a refusenik in the IDF, talking together in a similar way like this. And I'm also just want to let people know I'm going to take this idea that Ali said, Jews and Muslims joining hands to be pro-solution. Meditation Magazine is going to organize a protest, more of a demonstration, a peace demonstration in Union Square in New York later, probably in June, because we have the peace issue to finish, where we are going to bring together Jews and Muslims together to demonstrate for peace, for unity, to speak for each other, not just for ourselves. So, and thank you so much, Moran and Ahmed, for being here today. And I thank you, Ni, for being the co-host. I know that this has been a very quick conversation, and but Ni will be involved more in the next segment, which is meditations for peace. And we have 3 beautiful meditations coming up in actually just 2 minutes. So we're going to end the stream now. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, please just refresh the page in about 2 minutes and you'll see the meditations coming up. Thank you, Ahmed and Moran, once again for doing everything that you're doing in this world and for being here today. Thank you so much. All right. I hope you have a great day, a great evening there. Bye.